My sincere greetings to one and all. I am Dr. Ekta Sharma. I teach English at Pandit Neki Ram Sharma Government College, Rohtak. Today, we are going to discuss a very beautiful sonnet which is written by William Shakespeare. The title of the sonnet is Let Me Not to the Marriage of True Minds. This sonnet has been prescribed in the syllabus of BSc first year. So students, let us discuss the sonnet. Let me tell you about the writer first. As I have told you earlier also, this sonnet is written by William Shakespeare. William Shakespeare is the gift of God to the humanity. He was born in 1564 and he was the eldest son and third child of John Shakespeare. He got only a moderate primary education at the Free Grammar School at Stratford, where, in Ben Jonson's word, he picked up small Latin and less Greek, but was withdrawn from the school because of his father's business. At the age of 18, he was pressed into a hasty marriage with Anne Hathaway, his senior by 8 years. Shakespeare, the most successful playwright of Elizabethan age, wrote 37 plays, which include comedies, tragedies, historical plays, and romances. He raised the dramatic art to unrivaled heights of excellence. Apart from his plays, he is also remembered for his non-dramatic poetry. He also wrote a sonnet sequence consisting of 154 sonnets. Although the sonnet form was first introduced into English by Watt and Surrey and reached the height of its popularity in the hands of great masters like Spenser and Sidney. But it was Shakespeare who immortalized the form by giving it an English and a more mature touch. Shakespeare's sonnets, compiled and published by Thomas Torpey in 1609, form two groups. The first group, that is serial number 1 to 126, is addressed to an unknown young friend of matchless beauty called Mr. W.H. And the second group, which includes serial number 127 to 152, they are addressed to a supposed dark lady with whom Shakespeare was desperately in love. The final two sonnets do not belong to either category. Referring to his sonnets, William Wordsworth said that with his key, the sonnet, Shakespeare unlocked his heart. Shakespeare is a universally acclaimed English poet and dramatist by virtue of his unique originality, intuitive grasp of human psyche, and poetic brilliance. His sonnets, collectively matchless in power and beauty, are among the finest lyrical poetry of the Elizabethan age. They are, according to Byron, like thick clusters of starlight, which encompass a comprehensive variety of emotions such as love, life, and death. This was all about William Shakespeare. Students, let me tell you something about this particular sonnet which is prescribed in your syllabus. This sonnet is Sonnet 116 and the title is Let Me Not to the Marriage of True Minds. This sonnet is one of the most universally admired Shakespearean sonnet and it is addressed to an unnamed young friend called Mr. W.H. In his meditative attempt to define perfect love, Shakespeare precisely outlines the great qualities of love. Expressing his faith in the power of love, the poet declares its unparalleled quality of constancy and steadfastness. This theme is fully developed by equating the everlasting nature of love to the sun and to the North Star, which serve as infallible guides to the ships in the uncharted ocean. The poet's overwhelming concern with the passage of time and the elite theme of death and mutability are obvious. This sonnet strongly echoes the ideal of purely spiritual love, which is not bounded by death, decay, and deconstruction, caused by the relentless march of time's winged chariot. Like other sonnets, this sonnet is in perfect Shakespearean form with 3 quatrains and a rhyming couplet following the rhyme pattern of AB AB, CD CD, EF EF, GG. Now let us start with the line by line explanation of this sonnet. Let me read the sonnet first. Let me not to the marriage of true minds admit impediments. Love is not love, which alters when it alteration finds, or bends with the remover to remove. Oh no, it is an ever fixed mark that looks on tempests and is never shaken. It is the star to every wandering bark, whose words unknown, although his height be taken. Love is not time's fool, though rosy lips and cheeks within his bending sickle's compass come. Love alters not with his brief hours and weeks, but bears it out even to the edge of doom. If this be error, and upon me proved, I never writ, nor no man ever loved. Such a beautiful sonnet it is. Let us take up the first 4 lines first. Let me not to the marriage of true minds admit impediments. Love is not love, which alters when it alteration finds, or bends with the remover to remove. In these lines, Shakespeare defines love as the marriage of true minds. Marriage means union. Generally, love is considered as a matter of heart, but here Shakespeare makes it a matter of the mind. Going further with his definition of love, the poet says that true love is constant, it is steadfast, it never changes. No reason, force, or threat can change it. No obstacle can stand in the way of true lovers. No power can separate the true loving hearts. True lovers remain united under any circumstances. Their love is constant. It never grows less. The poet says that love which alters or bends can't be called true love. It is only false love that alters when it finds a chance to change or bends with the remover to remove. True love overcomes all the obstacles. It is not awed by any difficulties. Now let's take up the next 4 lines. Oh no, it is an ever fixed mark that looks on tempests and is never shaken. It is the star to every wandering bark, whose words unknown, although his height be taken. In the above 4 lines, the poet says that true love can never change. It is like an ever fixed spot. That is, the poet is comparing the true love with a lighthouse that keeps looking on tempests in the sea, but it itself never shakes. It is like a star, that is, the pole star, that guides every wandering boat or ship on the sea. Although one might be able to measure the height of this star, but its worth for the sailors can't be measured. Similarly, true love, its qualities, they cannot be measured. In these lines, the poet compares true love to the pole star and to the lighthouse. He brings out their common elements. The pole star is an ever fixed mark. It never changes its place in the sky. Similarly, the lighthouse. No tempests can shake the lighthouse. It remains unshaken in all kinds of weather. The position of pole star and the lighthouse serves as a guide for all navigators. All boats and ships on the sea find their way by their help. True love is also like them. It is always constant. It never falters from its course. This constancy of true love serves as a guide for lesser mortals. Now, the next 4 lines. Love is not time's fool, though rosy lips and cheeks within his bending sickle's compass come. Love alters not with his brief hours and weeks, but bears it out even to the edge of doom. In these lines, the poet paints time as a cruel destroyer with a sickle in its hand. Shakespeare has personified time in these lines. Time destroys everything. It cuts short everything on this earth. It takes away the beauty of rosy lips and cheeks. Nobody can escape the blow of its bending sickle. But the poet says that time has no influence on true love. It can't take away the intensity of true love. True love remains ever young and fresh. It does not alter with the passage of time. It is immortal. Let's take up the last two lines. If this be error, and upon me proved, I never read, nor no man ever loved. The poet is very certain of his evaluation of true love. He thinks that his definition of true love can never be untrue. He says that if ever it is proved wrong, he would forfeit his name as a poet. The poet declares firmly that if his definition of love is proved wrong, no man on this earth could be called a true lover. The poet says that nobody can disprove his definition of true love, nor can anybody say that the poet's love for his own friend has not stood the test of his own definition. The poet is very confident of the truth of his statement. In this regard, he is prepared to stake his reputation even. He says that if ever his statement is proved wrong, he won't call himself a poet. And if his definition of true love is proved wrong, no man on this earth could be called a true lover. Students, I hope you have developed a clear understanding of this sonnet by now. Now, let us discuss some short answer type questions. Question number 1. Express the central idea of the sonnet in your own words. The possible answer will be: true love never changes. No obstacle can stand in its way. It remains constant as a pole star. Time spoils the beauty of everything, but it has no effect on true love. The next question: how has beauty been described as weak before time? The possible answer will be: time takes away the beauty of everything. It takes away the beauty of rosy lips and cheeks. It produces wrinkles on the face. It takes away the glitter of eyes. Thus, all beauty is weak before time. The next question: whose fool is not love? The answer will be: love is not time's fool. Time can destroy everything, but it can have no effect on true love. True love never changes. It remains ever fixed and constant like the pole star. Another important question: how far do you agree with the poet's statement, love is not time's fool? The possible answer will be: true love is really not time's fool. Time can have no effect on true love. True love never changes. It remains ever fixed like the pole star. It can withstand all tempests like a lighthouse. So, we agree completely with the poet's statement that love is not time's fool. The next question: what is the mark of true love? The question can be asked like: which characteristic quality of true love is highlighted by the use of the phrase ever fixed mark? The answer to these questions will be: true love is constant. It never changes. It remains fixed like a lighthouse. It serves as a guide for lesser mortals. It can withstand all kinds of tempests. Now, the next question: what does Shakespeare say about time and true love? The answer will be: Shakespeare says that time has no effect on true love. True love ever remains fixed and constant like the pole star. The next question: What is a Shakespearean sonnet? The answer is a Shakespearean sonnet has 14 lines. They are divided into 4 parts. The first 3 parts are quatrains. The last 2 lines form a couplet. It is a rhyming couplet. The next question. Why does the poet compare true love to the pole star? The pole star is ever fixed in its position. Storms and tempests can divert the course of a ship, but they can't alter the position of the pole star. Similarly, dangers and difficulties can frighten ordinary mortals, but they can't shake the true lovers. The last question. How does the poet personify time? The answer will be the poet personifies time as a cruel destroyer with a sickle in its hand. Time destroys everything. It cuts short everything on this earth. Nobody can escape the blow of its bending sickle. Students, these were all the short answer type questions. Now, let us discuss some essay type questions. Question number 1. How does Shakespeare define true love? The answer will be the poet says that no obstacles can stand in the way of true love. He says that true love is always constant. It never grows less. The poet says that the love which alters or bends can't be called true love. It is only false love that alters when it finds alteration or bends with the remover to remove. True love overcomes all obstacles. It is not awed by any difficulties. Shakespeare compares true love to the pole star and to the lighthouse. The pole star is a never fixed mark in the sky. It remains unshaken in all kinds of weather. So is the lighthouse. The position of pole star and the lighthouse is fixed, and it serves as a guide for all navigators. Similarly, true love remains constant even in the face of difficulties. It never falters from its course. The constancy of true lovers serves as an inspiration for all human beings. Time is a great destroyer. It destroys everything. It takes away the beauty of rosy cheeks and lips. But time has no influence on true love. It can't kill the intensity of true love, which ever remains young and fresh. It is immortal. It lives even till the end of the world. The next essay type question. Define metaphor. Elaborate various metaphors used in this sonnet. The answer will be metaphor is a figure of speech. Often we compare two things as if they were actually the same thing. For example, her husband is a lion. The next example, he was a lion in battle. Another example, friendship is a sheltering tree. Such comparisons or figures of speech are called metaphors. They help to convey ideas in a more clear, colorful, and emphatic manner. Shakespeare has used some powerful metaphors in his sonnet. For example, he compares love to the pole star. He calls it an ever-fixed mark. No tempest can shake it. It remains unshaken in all kinds of weather. Its constancy serves as a guide for all men in the stormy sea of life. Then the poet says, love is not time's fool. Time has a bending sickle in its hand. Every beautiful object comes within the compass of this sickle. Thus, we see how beautifully Shakespeare has used these metaphors to bring out his ideas that true love is constant, time is a great destroyer, and it can have no effect on true love. The next essay type question. Explain the structure and rhyme scheme of the sonnet. Give illustrations also. The answer will be This poem is a sonnet. It has 14 lines. They are divided into 4 parts. The first 3 parts are quatrains. A quatrain is a verse of 4 lines. Thus, the 3 quatrains of the poem make 12 lines. The last 2 lines form a couplet. It is a rhyming couplet. A rhyming couplet is a verse of 2 lines that rhyme with each other. The first line of each quatrain rhymes with the third line. The second line rhymes with the fourth line, but rhymes of each quatrain are different from the other. In other words, we can say that the rhyme scheme of 3 quatrains is AB AB, CD CD, EF EF. The rhyme of the couplet is different from all the 3 quatrains. Thus, the rhyme scheme of the entire sonnet is like this: AB AB, CD CD, EF EF, GG. Another possible question: how is love presented in Shakespeare's sonnet "Let Me Not to the Marriage of True Minds"? The answer to this question will be like: love is presented as the meeting and coming together of 2 minds rather than 2 bodies or something else. Love is much more mental than it is physical. Further, a true lover does not seek to change their loved one. Whatever feeling that compels a person to try to alter another cannot rightfully be called love. Instead, love is an ever-fixed mark, something steady and constant that cannot be shaken by any force, physical or otherwise. It provides a reliable light in the darkness to those who are lost or far away. Neither is love subject to the ravages of time, and though beauty, rosy lips and cheeks may fade, love itself will not decay or fade. It never wanes or lessens and remains faithful eternally. The speaker of the poem is so sure of this that he even declares that if he is mistaken, he has never written anything, nor has any man ever loved at all. Another important question: how does Shakespeare glorify true love in this sonnet? The answer will be: in this sonnet, Shakespeare says that true love is not based on practicality, pragmatism, or any other material standard, but rather true love exists beyond these concerns, beyond change and beyond time. Rather, true love is completely and eternally fixed. It is an ever-fixed mark. It is unmoving and unaware of the material, physical world around it. In lines 7 and 8, Shakespeare uses the metaphor of the star to make the important argument that while we can look at true love like we can observe a star in the sky, we cannot assign it a value, that is, its worth unknown. One of the points of this sonnet is to say that while humans have an innate sense that true love exists, our attempts to describe true love and explain it always come up short. Unlike true love, our lives are flexible, movable, physical, and temporary, which means that we will never be able to describe the actual worth. Another question is: explain the structure and form of this sonnet, that is, let me not to the marriage of true minds. I am explaining the answer to you. This is a true Shakespearean sonnet, also referred to as an Elizabethan or English sonnet. This type of sonnet contains 14 lines, which are separated into 3 quatrains of 4 lines each and end with a rhyming couplet of 2 lines. The rhyme scheme of this sonnet is AB AB, CD CD, EF EF, GG. Like most of Shakespeare's works, this sonnet is written in iambic pentameter, which means each line consists of 10 syllables, and within those 10 syllables there are 5 pairs, which are called iambs, Iams means one stressed syllable followed by an unstressed syllable. Students, these were all the short answer type and the long answer type questions which are based on this sonnet, Let Me Not to the Marriage of True Minds. Now, I think you have fully understood this sonnet, and let me check your understanding regarding this sonnet. I have prepared one questionnaire for all of you. All you need is you have to answer these questions on your own, and you have to get them checked from your subject teacher. I'm giving you multiple choice questions first. The first question in this series is, the question can be asked like, when Shakespeare compares love to, it is an ever fixed mark that looks on tempests and is never shaken. It is a star to every wandering bark. What type of comparison is Shakespeare using? I'm giving you 4 options: simile, metaphor, personification, and hyperbole. This question can be asked in another possible way, that is, what figure of speech is used in the following phrase? Love is an ever fixed mark. The options are: first, simile; second, metaphor; third, personification; and the fourth option is hyperbole. You have to select one option. Another multiple choice question: which of the following best explains this line, whose worth unknown, although his height be taken? The first option is, love's value ends when one dies. Another option, love is very difficult to calculate. Third option, love's value can never truly be calculated, nor can it be measured. And the last option is, love's actual worth cannot be known. It remains a mystery. The other multiple choice question can be asked like, in the lines, love alters not with his brief hours and weeks, but bears it out even to the edge of doom. Shakespeare believes that true love is dash. The first option is timeless. The second option is constant. The third option is strong. And the last option is measurable. Other important question. The word impediments means dash. There are 4 options. The first option is hindrances. The second option is lies. The third option is fears. And the last option is mistakes. Just tick the correct option. Another multiple choice question. The image of an ever fixed mark is that of a dash. There are 4 options. The first option is stain. The second option is memory. The third option is lighthouse. And the last option is grim reaper. After these multiple choice questions, I'm giving you some short answer type questions to attempt. The first question in this series is, what is the speaker saying about the qualities of true love? Another question, what kind of love alters when it finds alteration? Another question, what according to Shakespeare is the most important quality of true love? Another short answer type question, which object does Shakespeare use in Let Me Not to the Marriage of True Minds to illustrate that true love is constant? Another question, what does the line I never writ nor no man ever loved imply? Last question of this series, how does true love correspond to the pole star in the sonnet Let Me Not to the Marriage of True Minds? Now, I'm giving you certain long answer type questions to attempt. Question number 1. How does Shakespeare glorify true love in the sonnet Let Me Not to the Marriage of True Minds? Another question. What is the theme of William Shakespeare's sonnet Let Me Not to the Marriage of True Minds? So this was all about the sonnet Let Me Not to the Marriage of True Minds. Have a great day. Thank you.